Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to your Chelsea news video. And in today's video, going to be talking about how the Chelsea Supporters Trust have warned that a continued lack of engagement from the ownership with the wider fan base could lead to irreversible toxicity. So let's dive into this. First things first, so make sure you smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here, and as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. So obviously, on the 8th of this month, the Chelsea Supporters Trust sent a letter to the club. And I'm going to bring this up on screen now, and we are going to go through it, and then we'll obviously detail the club's response from Chris Jurasek, which is quite honestly absolutely pathetic. But let's get into this then. So Chelsea Supporters Trust wrote to the club, "Dear Todd and Badad, as we head towards the final months of the season, we wanted to write to you regarding your plans for next season and beyond. As you know, the Chelsea Supporters Trust has always sought to be constructive in our dealings with you and your colleagues at Chelsea. It is in spirit that we would like to highlight and address some serious supporter concerns and the disconnection felt by supporters towards the majority of the team, the manager, the club ownership, and the board. The current feeling among supporters, in our opinion, is that it's the lowest since the 1980s. While this may be expected with our current run of form and position in league table, a significant number of supporters that we speak to are quick to express concerns that the lack of any public-facing vision from the new ownership has led to an overwhelming sense of helplessness, frustration, and deep concern. Supporters are saying that there currently seems a fast-growing lack of trust from much of the fan base, especially matchgoers, towards a board, partially due to severely limited communication. Many supporters have significant concerns about the short and long-term future of the football club. During our latest result at Brentford, the views of quite a few became a vocal expression of a larger number of Chelsea supporters present at the game. Several anti-ownership chants could be heard even when we were winning, and much of our recent dialogue with supporters reveals a widespread and significant lack of belief in the decision makers at the top of our club. The current mood amongst supporters is critically low and cannot be ignored. The feeling that the club has become a laughingstock both on and off the pitch is growing. The Chelsea Supporters Trust regretfully believes that we are close to, if not already experiencing, a significant shift in supporter opinion that could result in irreversible toxicity, almost irrespective of results on the pitch, unless the situation improves. This seems likely to manifest itself in more targeted chanting, especially at televised games, and quite possibly more organised, overt, and impactful forms of protest by some sections of the fan base. We call on the club to work hand in hand with the Supporters Trust to improve the supporter/board relationship. The existing supporter engagement mechanisms are clearly not currently working at an optimum level, and we believe we should work together to improve this situation." And these are the concerns that have been raised. When you began your stewardship of Chelsea, you communicated to supporters that you would look to grow every commercial revenue stream and double the income to bring us in line with other major Premier League clubs. We were informed that only once all commercial revenue streams were exhausted would the club hit the pockets of the supporters. Supporters are frustrated and angry that this pledge has been broken. Since May 2023, a number of public-facing supporter budgets have been cut or tightened and prices increased. Examples include coach prices up to £53 more. That's ridiculous. The shirt cost £5 increase. What I would say on the shirt cost is actually, in fairness to the club on this one, Nike do universally set the shirt prices, so you can't really lay that at the door of the club. Cup fixture increases, £1 to £13 increase. Ridiculous. That is £38 for the FA Cup. Programme cost is 50p increase with approximately 30 fewer pages. Food and drink in general admission areas is 5 to 15% increase estimate. Youth fixture ticket, £2 increase, and the women's ticket price increased by record amounts. Obviously, an additional way for you to further increase matchday revenue is via ticket price increases. And we understand that the club is currently assessing different scenarios, different options and decisions around ticket pricing for next season. The Chelsea Supporters Trust acknowledges you are seeking to optimize income, but we have significant concerns regarding ticket pricing going forward for both season ticket holders and general admission. The UK currently faces one of the most difficult financial periods in its history. It is important that you are aware that the cost of living crisis has created huge financial difficulties for many people and match-going supporters. The lifeblood of the club are certainly not immune from these pressures. You should be under no illusions of how concerned many supporters are about the potential of significant ticket price increases. A CST membership survey received responses from thousands of supporters a significant number of whom are fearful that they will be priced out of watching the club they love by above inflation increases. We believe that any significant ticket pricing increase at this time would be extremely unwise, and that all ideas around price points or changes to senior concessions should be considered at a later date. This belief seems especially pertinent given the record-breaking expenditure on players that has produced a far from positive impact on the pitch. We are very aware that the increase in ticket prices will only add to the penny-pinching narrative, and we have obvious and real concerns about how supporters would react to this combination of increased prices and mediocre, inconsistent performances on the pitch. We would strongly caution against such a move. Urgent requirement to engage with the wider fan base. The CST has been greatly impressed with Chelsea's willingness to work with us on a number of community and foundation projects that help foster better supporter relationships. That said, oh Jesus, this is long, isn't it? Bloody hell. That said, we believe that we're at a stage where a new wider supporter engagement approach needs to be urgently adopted to address the serious concerns held by supporters who have demonstrated such loyalty over recent years. We are all firmly of the belief that seeking to develop a much greater degree of trust with those supporters would be a net benefit to you and the club more generally going forwards. It goes on to say that surely supporters deserve a coherent, detailed strategy from the ownership of their on their medium to long-term plans. They have yet to receive one. Included within such an update should be the stadium redevelopment. Even if the club has no strategically important news in this area, periodic statements would certainly not go amiss, given the crucial importance of the redevelopment to so many match-going supporters. There's been very little communication with the wider supporters based on the subject, and what supporters see is that we are 9 years on from the 2015 Abramovich Stadium plan and seem to have gone backwards, whereas our domestic peers continue to progress, harvesting the benefits of stadium redevelopment or rebuild. There seems deep concern and cynicism about what is happening, hardly surprising given the lack of updates in the communication vacuum caused by the absence of any supporter update whatsoever. Rumours, some doubtless spectacularly inaccurate, are abound. This cannot be healthy. We reaffirm our assertion that supporters should be involved in stadium redevelopment plans from the very beginning. We believe that a greater sharing of your vision, including commercial ambitions with the wider fan base, could be an appropriate way of starting to create a better understanding of what you are seeking to achieve. Communicating how you are hoping to transition into operating on a more sustainable basis is vital if you wish to allay the widespread anxiety currently felt by supporters. This is where your ambition to lead in the field of fan engagement comes in. Much of the current fan engagement at Chelsea tends to be related to match-going issues or more strategic areas of finance and governance. And whilst both are important, there is a nuanced position on this. It is our view, backed up the experiences at clubs such as Brighton and Hove Albion and Brentford, and evidence from experts in the field, that a club being open to the wider supporter base about the wider business objectives without having to disclose key information that might be subject to commercial sensitivity can over time build and markedly increase trust between supporters and club. It can also buy time for the leadership of a club where they are making significantly changes quickly. We believe that presenting some of the progress being made directly to the wider supporter base could serve to instill greater confidence in the decision-making at Chelsea, which you will clearly need if you want to carry support or opinion with you. We're not suggesting technical explanation of profit, loss and revenue generation, but a clear explanation of the journey the club is on under your leadership. Supporters generally care about the future of the club and are often more understanding when they are given more of the facts regarding an issue. This would not mean any changes to the current forms of engagement you use, such as the fan advisory board or even the relationship with us. Instead, more open, large-scale communication is another layer of engagement that clubs frequently use to build trust, especially among newer owners. We would suggest that you work closely with the CST to develop a supporter communication strategy that works for the club and for the supporter base. We feel that this ought to be an initial face-to-face event held as soon as practicable, with regular written and video materials after. We would welcome a continuous dialogue with you on this crucial issue and are happy to hold a private and confidential meeting with you and your team about these proposals. We look forward to hearing from you. Yours sincerely, the Chelsea Supporters Trust. So that's, I think, a very fair, a very thorough letter detailing the issues between the club and the fans. As a match-going fan, as someone that's around the stadiums and the match-going fans a lot, it is the supporter mood is very, very low. There are a lot of things that need addressing. Those points are just a few. The pricing at the club is quite frankly outrageous. I understand that, with that lack of European football with a smaller stadium, we have to find ways of increasing revenue in other ways. But with obviously, as detailed, the cost of living crisis, in the UK, it's making, fans that have attended for years be unable to attend games. It's very, very difficult. And yeah, it is toxic right now. Very, very toxic. And it could lead to, and it could be irreversible. Absolutely could be. Ticket prices are going to go up. There's a lack of engagement from the ownership, having been quite front facing when they first took over. There's very little communication from them now. And yeah, like the fans just kind of feel left in the dark. And do you know what? It's not even really a surprise. Private equity firm rinsing fans and revealing their true colours. Who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? Fans are the life and soul of the club. Don't treat them with disrespect. Don't treat them like mugs. Don't rip them off. And all these things at the moment are happening. And it is creating a very, very toxic environment between the ownership and the fans, which is not what you want when you're just starting out on a minimum 10-year ownership of the club. So it needs to be addressed. And the problem we've got here is that the letter that was received back from the club, and it's from Chief Executive Chris Jurasik, which, yeah, it didn't really address anything, funnily enough. And who would have thought? Who would have thought that it didn't address anything? But let's bring it up on the screen, then, guys, and I'm going to dive into it and give my thoughts. So this is a response from the club today. In response to the formal letter from the Chelsea Supporters Trust, the Chelsea Football Club, thank you for your letter and unwavering support for Chelsea. We deeply value the dedication, commitment, and desire from all our supporters to continue to develop Chelsea FC into the most successful and admired club in the world, both on and off the pitch. Part of achieving that goal will be done by working with our supporters. Without question, we want to ensure we engage with our supporters regularly to provide them with clear lines of communication and a significant level of transparency. All those have been lacking. With the establishment of the Fan Advisory Board, that is a good thing, who liaise with the club on a regular basis. We are confident that there is a great deal of shared discussion and an intention to work closely with a number of key stakeholders. I'm not really seeing that. In addition, the frequent fans forum meetings representing our stadium accessibility, women's and men's teams highlights the strong level of communication between Chelsea Football Club and its supporters. Again, I'm not sure it does. I'm not sure it does. We also seen groundbreaking initiatives this season with the formation of the Jewish supporters group and the Muslim supporters group. Yeah, these are great things, but this is not addressing fan concerns. To ensure that we have a diverse representation of our supporters that engage frequently with the club. That work is constant and ongoing. As with all our supporter groups, Chelsea Supporters Trust is a valued organisation we endeavour to have substantial dialogue with on a regular basis. Rightly so. Our goal is the same as your goal, to ensure Chelsea has a bright and successful future. To do so, there is a necessity to increase club revenue to put us on a par with our rivals and allow us to compete in both the Premier League and the Women's Super League. Agree with that. The revenue does have to increase, but you shouldn't be hitting the fans' pockets. You shouldn't be doing it that way. As well as in domestic and European competitions, there are several ways we are already doing that and will further explore. We recognise there is a concern about rising costs on a match day and the impact ticket prices can have on our supporters. Rest assured, we are taking frequent advice and engaging in regular consultation with the Fan Advisory Board to ensure that we take a holistic approach in this vitally important issue. There is a clear need to work closely with all supporter groups on this topic to make sure we have balanced and measured representation. To be clear, we endeavour to have regular and strong communication with our supporters across all our teams and aim to enhance and improve this connection season on season. We welcome the thoughts of our supporter groups on how to further enhance this connection. We thank you for your support as we move into this important juncture of the season. Chris Jurasik, Chief Executive Officer. Pretty wishy-washy letter. Doesn't actually address any of the issues that have been put forward in the Supporters Trust letter. Just waffles on about communication. It is quite something, isn't it? What is that about? What is that about right now? I've seen more brief defences of Sterling, who's on ridiculous wages, than a proper defence to valid supporter questions. Where are the answers to any of those valid supporter questions? There's none. That letter simply isn't washing. It doesn't sit well with me. It's poor, and it's just further confirming the massive disconnect between the fans and the ownership, and it needs addressing, and genuine supporter concerns that have been raised in a very well written and very well thought out letter have been responded with a one-page letter which basically just waffles on about, there is communication, we've set up XYZ boards, we are worried about this and that. But it's rubbish. It's rubbish. Something needs to change. And this ownership are in danger of, as the letter says, of causing irreversible toxicity atmosphere is not good. The feeling towards the ownership is not good. And the fans just feel majorly let down, mugged off, and being used. And that is not a good way. That is not a good way to be continuing. It's very strong comments about what's wrong at the club. The response is poor. And it is toxic right now. You know, Poch has been the main spokesperson so far on this. But yeah, Euro 6 letter is not really going to appease the masses whatsoever. And I just think this is really poor and further highlights that the big disconnect between the club and the fan base, which needs to be sorted out. I get it. I absolutely get it. You know, that, you know, it's a business, but the optics are poor. It's wrong that Chelsea have raised prices for the fans on basically everything, yet the quality of the product has gotten worse and worse and worse. Owners shouldn't be confused about, you know, why fans, especially match-going ones, are upset. You know, they want more for a worse product. Look, the increase, of course, was due before COVID, but it's no excuse to jump into a massive increase. It really isn't. It's not good. It's not a good look whatsoever. It really isn't. You know, match-going fans have been supporting the club for a long time, and they're now attending and watching a worse product and paying more of it. It's not good optics. You know, yes, it's a business. Chelsea have got a small stadium, and yeah, we're having to find ways to increase revenue in other areas, but yeah, the optics on it are poor, and you know, if ticket prices go up a significant amount. I've already seen at Spurs and Man City that the increase has not gone down well with supporters, and it's going to be exactly the same at Chelsea. And this will further worsen the relationship between the ownership and the fan base. But yeah, guys, that's just my thoughts on the whole situation. Bit of a longer video. So if you've tuned into the end, greatly appreciate it. Please run the likes up. Please subscribe if you're new around here, and leave your thoughts in the comments below.